Hey, welcome back, guys. So for today, we'll be doing a clan war. My clan, Mortar Combat, versus Surgical Goblin's clan, Hammers. And we will be doing a 5v5, and the fifth match will be yours truly versus Surgical. And regardless of the outcome of the first matches, we will be playing every single match. Hopefully it's close, so let's get right into it. To start off, we will have Murph versus DWL. Murph being from Mortar Combat, DWL being from Hammers. So obviously I have a little bit of bias towards Murph. As you will see, they both they don't know it yet. And sorry that I don't have this live. I wasn't able to access the computer at the time, but I'm able to replay it now, and Surgical and I will be releasing close to the same time, if not at the exact same time. So no spoilers. But yeah, they are both using Royal Giant. Slightly different variations, though. As the match goes on, I'll talk about that a little bit more. So Murph actually got pretty good value there. They both did, honestly. They both were able to block the Royal Giants with from the minions, so the minions didn't take out each other. So good play from both of them. I will say DWL, I don't know if he should have used his log or not. It didn't get quite as much value because, I mean, it didn't. So I'm assuming what he tried to do is try to push it back so his minions would hit the other minions, but he also maybe was near the elixir, 10 elixir or something. I'm not actually sure. But either way, the log didn't do too much there. It did get some chip damage. So coming out of the start, Murph is ahead slightly, about 100 damage, 140 damage. I will say that in this matchup, I'd say Murph does have the advantage because Lightning is good against Inferno, and Furnace puts down constant pressure and also threatens those minions that DWL wants to use. They didn't know each other's decks, none of us did. They're just all best of ones, whatever deck you chose, and no one knows prior, unless it's a deck that you use all the time. It was on your profile, which no one... Good professional or competitive players don't do that. They know to make dummy decks and stuff. So Murph has the slight elixir advantage this time. They both split archers, pretty typical. So what you'll see again is he'll throw down the furnace. So yeah, like I said earlier, and yeah, DWL, I would say he probably should have just played his Royal Giant kind of far back, because yeah, what Murph is going to do now that Fireball is down, he's just going to rush with those minions. And those minions made that Inferno lock on really late. So yeah, that was a really good play by Murph to rush as soon as he knew the Fireball was out, because now DWO has no way to remove the minions until the Royal Giant is dead, and so the minions are going to get all their hits off. So yeah, very good damage there by Murph. And this time Murph rushes because DWO puts it back there, and DWO didn't know at this point, but that's giving him insane lightning value. So yeah, he gets a ton of damage off. And the Inferno didn't. It would have been okay for DWL if the Inferno had stopped the Royal Giant, but unfortunately the Royal Giant locked on the tower first. And this is a good zap by DWL to take out the minions, but it's just too late. And the pretty good log there for some poke damage for Murph, and it keeps the archers from doing any damage. And at this point, what you're going to see is Murph is just going to spell cycle. And the only way for him to lose at this point is if like he gives a value fireball to DWL, but he spaced out his units correctly there, so a little bit closer than he would have wanted, but the fireball didn't hit the minions. And from now on out, all he has to do is defend with like defensive logs, and then even if his Royal Giant doesn't connect with tower, all he has to do is like get in one time. So I'm assuming what he does here is he zaps. No, he decided to give it up. Honestly, I think right there he should have zapped, because then the Royal Giant would have got through the tower and at least gotten one hit off, and that's all he really needed. But he wanted to be absolutely certain that he could defend, so I don't blame him. He's playing it really nice too, not relying on a skeleton army, just using it as additional damage so that the log is never able to completely take out his defense. And yeah, so he's just defending and logging to death, which is, I mean, it's what you should do. And he's playing his furnace perfectly so that it aggroes the Royal Giant and getting in tower range at the same time. And his minions are taking it out. And at this point, all he has to do is log and lightning. He's just throwing down the Royal Giant to distract. He doesn't actually need it to make sure that DWL has to defend. He can't go on offense, and yeah. That is typical of any mirror match, though. Once one person gets ahead, all they have to do is play pretty normal, and they should win. Pretty close to mirror anyway. So let's get right into it. So this match will be Backstab versus Middle Sky. Backstab being the Hammers player and Milsky being the Mortar Combat player. I actually met Backstab at King's Cup. He's really cool, really good player as well. And so let's see. Backstab will be running a Barb Hut defensive graveyard deck, and then Milsky will be running a Spellbait miner deck. So in some ways, Milsky's deck counters Backstab because he has Furnace for the Barb Hut, but I'd say the advantage actually goes to Backstab because Milsky's running a Spellbait deck against someone who's running triple spells, actually quadruple if you count graveyard, but in terms of like defensive capabilities, I'd say just triple. So I'd actually give the slight edge to Backstab, but we'll see how they play it. Unfortunately here, Backstab has Fireball, and he gets super Fireball value here, hitting the Princess, the Tower, and the Furnace. So Milsky, you really should never stack Furnaces like that because that's just asking to happen. But Backstab plays that very well, and Milsky kind of had to panic to defend. His ideal counter against Graveyard is Minion Horde, but Backstab has arrows, so. Yep, arrows use the counter there. Doesn't have zap, but he does have a log and arrows, so those work very well against zap bait decks to counter their main pushes. So, oof, unfortunately, yeah, Milsky let the Mega Minion get through there. He didn't place Furnace in time, and then that was a significant amount of damage. Furnace trickling away, but still big advantage right now to Backstab. He has a slight elixir disadvantage, but it is gained right back here when he is able to take out the Minion Horde. I'm not sure why Milsky switching lanes is okay, I guess, but he knows what counters Backstab has, so he took massive. He took -3 elixir on that, and I think that right there is pretty much what lost him the game. His ideal push, I guess, would be defending first, because if you defend first, then maybe the spells are baited out, but if Backstab plays this properly, it's just really hard for Milsky to win. That's one of the reasons I don't like spell bait decks, is because you can get really hard countered if your opponent is running a deck that has spells. I like running decks that can have some bad matchups, but they can beat almost anything. Like more versatile spell bait decks aren't necessarily like that. They can have really good matchups and really bad matchups, and this isn't a very good matchup. But he still kept it kind of close. Unfortunately, just not enough there. Backstab just has to kind of defend here. And he gets a little bit silly at the end, but he had such an advantage that it was enough to win. Very good game to Backstab. Probably gonna steal from him. So shout out if I make a video or you see me playing in the future. I definitely found it from Backstab. Very good game. Milsky, good try, man. It's really tough playing a spell bait deck against a deck that has 3 spells and it's defensive. So yeah, unfortunate matchup, but Backstab played it perfectly. So Marcus35, very good player against Real Misa from Mortar Combat. Misa will be playing a Rocket miner deck, and Marcus is playing a Hog Cycle that has 3 muskets in it, which is actually becoming pretty popular. I've seen a bunch of people run it. It's really interesting. So, I mean, miner I guess would get good chip damage, but that miner was definitely late. You want to lock on before. He doesn't have to defend it if it's just a miner, but he would have had to defend it if it was a miner tanking for a Mega Minion. So right off the bat, even before the elixir collector's down, Marcus, because that elixir didn't do any significant damage and Marcus didn't have to defend it, yeah, Marcus has already had an elixir disadvantage even before. Well, because of the elixir pump, and he didn't have to defend the miner, so that was 3 elixir that further like buffered and helped out the elixir collector. And unfortunately, Misa didn't know this is a 3 musket deck, and he rocketed a Mega Minion, which I don't really think you should take that 6-for-3 trade early in the game for tower damage. I think that's more of like a late game play and double elixir. And without rocket, he has no way to deal with musketeers. Like if he had still had the rocket, he could have taken out 2 of the musketeers and damaged the tower, and that would have been really good for him. But he did not. And now what he's gonna have to do is he's gonna have to hold that rocket as a counter for 3 muskets. But now that Marcus knows that Misa has 3 muskets, he's probably always gonna play his musketeers up in the front so that he doesn't take tower damage like here, like what he's about to do. And now he has such an elixir advantage that he doesn't have to wait for the he's gonna have enough elixir to push even before, see, like there, and he had to rocket it, but now he doesn't have elixir for the Inferno to stop the hog. So this deck can be very potent, especially when, I wouldn't say rocket can be good early game, but late game when they're able to get, especially if they get an elixir advantage like this, they're able to put the muskets out and they don't have to wait to get supporting troops for the muskets because they have such an elixir advantage and they're gaining elixir from the pumps. Because otherwise the muskets are expensive, so obviously you usually can't support them if you put them that far out in front. But now he's once it's in double elixir and you have double pumps going, you can do it. And there's pretty much no point. There's no way for Misa to stop it at this point once the elixir is in Marcus's favor. That's how 3 musket decks win. And yeah, so he'll just keep on the pressure. How Minor Rocket wins is it defends and pokes over time, and then it goes in hard at the last second using Rocket on offense. And even though it gives them a Master Elixir disadvantage, they have to have enough poke damage so that they can finish it off with the Minor and the Rocket, and it doesn't give the enemy enough time. But he never really had the Elixir advantage, and he never was able to defend the pushes too well because of that Rocket early on. So kind of unfortunate, but Marcus, like all the other matches, played very, very well. So Tron right here will be running a Barb Hut deck, and Mischief will be running kind of a defensive graveyard deck. So he has the Barbs. Oh yeah, defensive graveyard freeze deck actually. And then Tron is also running a pretty defensive deck with Barb Hut. Oh yeah, and I guess I don't really know how to say it. Mythja maybe? I'm just gonna say that for now. I apologize if I get your name incorrect. I know I've talked to you a bunch on Twitter and stuff. Bowler is very good against Barba. That's an unfortunate matchup. Bowler's just the hard counter to. Oh yeah, and Tron is also running a graveyard deck. But it's partly card matchup and partly just very well played. Mitcha just had the perfect counter there. Like Bowler, he didn't take a single point of damage, and that was a good fireball. But Mitcha will have the elixir advantage now. The Bowler to counter the knight, the archers, the barbs. He countered absolutely everything that came in, and then the barbs were able to counter the graveyard. And then he did get a value fireball, but since it's so early in the game, it came way too late, and the graveyard was already dead, so it didn't really mean too much. So the one thing I can say that Tron could possibly do is wait for Mitchell to play his bowler and then play the Barba in the opposite lane, because you're just feeding a bowler free elixir if you're putting a Barba into the same lane as it, or letting the enemy play a bowler. Because what that bowler is going to do is it's going to kill everything. It's going to get to the Barb Hut, and then it's going to damage the Barb Hut. So there's like no point. And eventually he can just use that. He can use that bowler to tank for a graveyard as well. And once again, Tron did get a decent amount of damage here, but he's going to be negative in an elixir too. And you really want to use the fireball while the graveyard is still alive, so that the graveyard can damage the tower. If you're using it afterwards, you're getting decent value by hitting barbs, but you're not getting as much as you want. And I would say, once again, I just say Tron shouldn't have pushed into the bowler. Mitcha very well may not play it by itself, but you can't. Your deck is weak to that. You can't stack up troops and just let the bowler die really easy. And the freeze push from Mitcha in the meantime, he doesn't need a tank necessarily while you have freeze. That's like one of the benefits of using freeze, is you can use it by itself. And what Tron has to do in defense is he has to put down one defending troop and then use another right after. And he should not have played archers right then. What he should have done is, after that freeze came down, he should have played archers on the graveyard. But yeah, he shouldn't have played archers. If anything, just let the bowler target onto your tower. So It's still a very close game, but yeah, those archers were needed for defense. And this time he gets a good fireball, but it's a little bit too late, and his graveyard was tanking, not his knight, and the graveyard will be enough for Mitchell to finish it off. And I'm sorry, I'm a little bit biased, obviously, because these are my teammates that I'm talking for. And I hope this helps them when they watch this video. I don't mean to be critical, these are the mistakes I see. So that was... So obviously at this point, technically Hammers have won. They're up 3-1. But we decided that we would play all 5 matches. Obviously Surgical and I could play. Unfortunately, it didn't get to be like the clutch match, which decided the clan war. But it's still a good match, and we'll get right into it. Sorry, a little bit distracted there. Okay, so Furnace, for me to start off, I'll be running a Furnace Graveyard Giant deck, and he is running a Miner Rocket deck. So I'd say this is a skill matchup, although I would give my decks a slight edge, and I think it's worth mentioning that Surgical also tried to do this live. I don't think it went as he planned, but I would say playing it live for like the video and having to, I don't know if you try to commentate or not, but that can make it difficult, as I've experienced. So slight advantage to me off the start, but still skill matchup for the most part, and we'll see how it plays out. So he had to play the Inferno preemptively, which isn't the best for him. You want to play it more reactively and be able to lower the Giant. But I got some Archer and Graveyard poke off there. And something important to do when you play tank decks is sometimes you have to give up on the push and be aware that, see, I have like a 1 elixir advantage, so it's okay for me to give up on the push because I still got a decent amount of damage. You don't want to go all in all the time. All in is more of a double elixir type thing, so it's okay to give up on pushes sometimes. And so with his Miner out of hand, knowing that he can't punish me for playing my Giant at the back, I'm going to wait for 10 elixir, and then I'm playing my Giant at the back because he can't counter push while the elixir's out of my hand. So it lets me set up for a really big push, and he can't do anything other than preemptively like lay down Ice Skull and minions or Inferno Tower. And so he decides to he has to hold on to his minions for the graveyard, so he decides to preemptively play an Inferno, which is really bad against Giant. So that's unfortunate for him, which I also played it properly though. And my Mega Minion actually tanks the tower there, but it ends up being okay. My Fire Spirits are able to take out the Archers, and then I also have Fireball for the minions, and that Giant is now going to annihilate the tower because there's no defensive troops left to stop him. And now all Surgical can try to do is go on offense. I'm able to put the Furnace down in time to tank the Ice Spirit so that it doesn't stop the tower, and then I'm able to put on Skeleton Army to stop the tower from hitting. To stop the tower from getting hit from the Miner. I will say I prefer Zap in Miner decks because then you can use it to stop Skeleton Army, but better than Log anyway. But I mean, he didn't know the matchup coming into this, and like I said earlier with my teammates, it's tough sometimes. In a best of 1 you get matchups that you don't necessarily want, but I mean, you can do that in a best of 3 too. It just is kind of luck of the draw. So I just keep the pressure up, and this is something I oftentimes do. If you keep the pressure up, they end up having to trade towers if they're down. So yeah, once I get the lead, I just had to play defense. And Miner Rockets decks, like I said earlier, they kind of want to keep the edge. But really good player in Surgical, really good match. GG to them. They still won 3-2, and that'll be the end as I kind of show the chat a little bit. Yeah, so I was saying it's really hard to do that. So I think Surgical said he'll be doing more of these in the future, and I might as well with either Mastery or MK, like I said. His YouTube channel will be in the description if you guys haven't already checked him out. He's another pro player that is really good at helping out newer players and even players that have been playing for a while, and teaching them how we play, how we think, and using his decks. So he's a good content creator. Please check him out, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want to see more of it, like and tell me in the comments. Thanks. See you guys later.